Great, so we've now got our chat working in terms of the messages being pulled through every 5 seconds. What we now need to do is actually go ahead and create the functionality to be able to enter a message based on the user that is logged in. Remember, we have this forged login system where we define the user in the URL. We'll be creating a new or bringing up a new browser, and we'll be setting this value different, and we'll see how that works. So let's go ahead and open up our code. We need to make some changes to our JavaScript file, and obviously we need to make some changes to our chat.php file, because if the method is throw and we need to add something else in here to say if the message is defined, then throw the message into the database, and we do that using our throw method basically. Throw message method, sorry. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to create a variable inside of my chat object, and this is going to be the selector for our entry text area. What I'm going to now do is bind an event handler to when the key is pressed down. But remember, we have this additional functionality where we use shift and return for a new line. Now this basically came about because it just is really annoying to have another button somewhere to submit a message. It's a lot more natural if you can type a message, hit enter, and it submits. But then you also have the ability to do a line down if you need, and this is going to be by pressing control, because remember, enter is going to submit data, so we can't use enter to go down a line. So what do we do here? Well, inside of chat.js we need to go ahead and bind an event handler. So I'm going to say chat.entry, which we've just created a line above. We're going to bind a key down event handler, and in here we're going to use an anonymous function with an event callback or an event argument, and we're going to use this to detect the key code and whether the shift key has been pressed. So we can use this, we can do this really easily with jQuery. So we have an if statement here. So if e.keycode, not G code, key code is equal to 13 and e.shift_key is equal to false, then we want to go ahead and throw message, and then we also want to prevent the default action as well. So throw message will clear this field, it will throw the message, and we're ready to go. So just with this, in terms of this key code thing, I'm just going to go through this quickly. I'm going to console.log e.keycode, and we can see how this works now. So console.log is basically going to log the key that's pressed to this console here. So when I type A, for example, we've got 65. When I type enter to go down to a new line, we've got 13. You can also see that this has prevented the default action, and we haven't gone down to a new line, which is important. But I'm going to hold the shift key now, which is 16. I'm going to hit enter, and you can see that that goes down to a new line. So we've now got this functionality that allows us to go down to a new line, and also then enter prevents the default action. So in this case, let's go ahead and get rid of this console log. The throw message is going to call the throw message function that we're going to create here. So chat.throw message. Now what we're going to do now is define what we need to send through to this method. So that's going to be the value of the text area. So in this case we can just say this.val. Okay, so the throw message function here. So chat.throw message equals function. So in here we are going to, first of all, quite important to detect if the length of the message doesn't equal 0, because we don't want to send blank messages basically. But in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to let's go ahead and do this. So we can say trim this message that we pass in here. So we're sending the message through here, and then we're saying jQuery has a brilliant built-in trim method. So we're going to say trim message dot length, which is a standard JavaScript method, doesn't equal 0. So if it doesn't equal 0, I'm going to alert 1. Just in fact, let's console log something just so it's not annoying. Console log 1. Cool. So when I refresh and I hit enter, nothing happens. If I type Alex and hit enter, we console log 1. That would be sending this data to this script. I can then say Alex, new line, then hit enter, and again a little 2's appeared here because we've got 2 1s. So everything's working now. We've tested it through the console. We know that everything's working nicely. So in this case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing exactly as we do here, but we're going to be sending some different data, and we'll have a different success callback. So let's just go ahead and copy this and be lazy. Make sure it's all nice and tidy. There we go. So we're sending to Ajax chat.php. We're sending the message, the method, as throw. We're also then sending this message variable, and that's just going to be message. So the message is the variable that we're sending through to the this page, and message is this message we've passed here. Now, when this succeeds, what we want to do is we don't want to do that. We want to say chat.fetch messages. So we refresh the console, and then we say chat.entry.val, and we set that to nothing. Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and test this out. Now, it's not going to work actually sending the data, but when I type in Alex and hit enter, you'll see that this is empty now. Now, we can also see that when I type in Alex and hit enter, it calls another chat file. So enter there, calls another chat file. So every time I type something, it refreshes that and sends this data to chat.php. But yet we are, or at the moment, we're not doing anything to actually handle it. So we need to do that now. Relatively straightforward. If the method that's passed through to this is throw, which it is in this case, we're passing the method as throw. We also have message, so we need to do another check, and is set equals true. What do we need to check is set, that is message. Cool, so we're going to now throw this message into the database. But first of all, I'm just going to do some, not checking, but I'm going to say message equals trim $_post message. We should probably be doing this within our overall throw message here. But the reason I've done this end is so I can also check if it's empty. Now the reason I'm doing this, so let me just check, let me just do this and then I'll explain. So if empty message equals false, throw it. So this file can be accessed outside of our JavaScript file. So we don't need to hit our JavaScript file, or our JavaScript file doesn't need to run for this file to be accessed. So people can post data to this however they like. This means that they can actually send data without the JavaScript checks taking place, and therefore they can basically put empty messages into the database. So we don't want that. So we've done a server-side check, and we've also done a client-side check as well, where this trim message length equals 0 or doesn't equal 0. So we're now going to throw it. So we're going to say chat throw message. So what do we need to throw? Well, we need to do the $_session user, and we want to throw the message in with that. So we are calling the throw message method, which is taking the user ID, the message, and inserting this into the database. So what's going to happen is this is going to throw the message in. It's then going to refresh the data, clear the entry value, and we should be good to go. So let me just go ahead and say test. Lovely. Let's go ahead and refresh the page just to make sure that stays, and it does. And you can see that that's added here with the user ID of 1. And I'll just maybe do a smiley face or something. Brilliant, it works. So let's go ahead now and just open up our other browser, and we'll go ahead and test this out. Okay, so I've magically gone ahead and opened another browser. What we're going to do now is, well, what I've already done is I've defined user equals 2. So what this has done is it's set that session here to 2, and therefore the user in the database is now, let's just open up our browser again. The user in the database is now Billy, because in users we have Billy as 2. So what we can do now is start to send maybe a winky face, which will be Alex. That will then refresh after 5 seconds. So you do get a bit of a delay, but on each user's side it won't seem too much to them. And then maybe I'll just say hello. So Billy says hello, and this comes through on this side after 5 seconds. So basically we have finished. We have finished. We've created a chat application that we can say, no, we haven't finished. Alex, new line, enter. This doesn't appear on a new line. So we have to correct this. What we need to do is we need to change the output of the method, or the chat.php here. We need to we've returned the rows. In here, what we need to do with the output of the actual message is we need to use the nl2br function. What this will do is it will change any new lines, any sort of plain new lines to breaks. So let's go ahead and just refresh, and you can see it's already changed there as well. So we've got Alex and new line. And also I was mentioning the script things. If we were to do script and then alert 1, perfect. So you can see that in the database here we've got, if we look at that particular message, we've got all of the HTML entities in place here. Now, if we didn't have that in place, we'd be able to execute JavaScript XSS attacks on this application. So that's a really, really easy chat application. Quite a while through the tutorial, but there's a lot of things that to look at and interesting. But if this was understandable and if you understood this, it's a really good way to start, fiddling around and doing other things with this application as well. So that's how to create an Ajax chat application in PHP. We've used jQuery, JavaScript, obviously jQuery being a JavaScript library, and our MySQL database. And we've also looked at object-oriented programming as well.